Hi everybody and welcome into another brand new episode of Caton'S Corner here on CUTV. As always, I'm your host, Tom Caton. It's finally April and it's crazy to think how fast time is flying here on campus. We're about to wrap up week 12 of classes, which means we have less than 4 weeks or just about under a month until the spring 2022 semester is over. It's certainly something to celebrate about. We're almost done here. But I came across an interesting research study that was published by the National Library of Medicine. In this study, it said that 92% of college students drink coffee and 79% of those coffee drinkers rely on caffeine to help them stay awake. Speaking of coffee, got me thinking of Starbucks since I went there this morning before coming here to do the show. Everyone's heard of Starbucks, hopefully. There's one on the corner right next to the Starbucks, across the street from the Starbucks. But every time I go there and get myself a drink and a cake pop or something, my total comes out to about $97. Starbucks is probably one of the most expensive coffee places around, but I'll still go there anyway. Going there should be simple, you know. You go in, you place your order, and they ask, oh, what's your name? And you tell them, and in the end I get an order for Tim, not Tom. But furthermore, the line is always super long every time I go to Starbucks. There are so many Starbucks stores in existence. There's more than 32,000 Starbucks locations across the globe, and somehow it still takes way too long to get your order. There are a couple reasons as to why the line is so long. First, some people don't know what they want to order. They just go in and they stare at the menu board. They have coffee, tea, and pre-made pastries. It's not that hard. Then you go, you have the people who know what they want, but they are super complicated with their order. You know, you don't need to get your mocha, no foam, extra whip, sugar-free, double shot, non-fat almond milk, iced vanilla latte, okay? Or there's always that one person who's getting a coffee order for their entire office. Go behind me in line if you're there for that, please. Then after you get your order, it's impossible to find a seat in the store. I call these people Starbucks squatters. They sit at a table for like 12 hours and they bring so much stuff with them, it looks like they're moving in. They brought a newspaper, a book, their laptop, a sleeping bag, a personal assistant, pictures of their family. Way too much stuff, if you ask me. You shouldn't be having to spend that much time at a Starbucks. And finally, my biggest pet peeve about Starbucks is the dress code. You got people up in there wearing sophisticated pantsuit and someone else is wearing spandex biker shorts. Please don't wear those biker shorts if you can. We don't need to see you digging in there for exact change. I've worked in the fast food industry for the last 6 years, and there's nothing worse than a warm dollar bill. So next time you go to Starbucks, please be aware of some of these rules that you need to follow. But all this talk about hot drinks moves us into our next segment of Hot Topics. So let's go ahead and take a look at this week's Hot Topics, shall we? First up, it was the slap heard around the world at the 94th Annual Academy Awards ceremony on March 27th. Will Smith approached comedian Chris Rock and slapped him across the face after Rock made an insensitive joke about Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and her shaved head. At the Oscars, Rock was presenting the award for Best Documentary when Rock's joke was, and I quote, "Jada, I love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it." Will appears to laugh at Rock's joke before he got up on stage and slapped Rock in the face. The audio feedback at the ceremony was cut out after the altercation as some curse words were thrown from both Rock and Smith. Rock said, quote, "Will Smith just smacked the blank out of me." And Smith said back in retaliation, "Keep your wife's name out of your blanking mouth." Many were shocked by the ordeal. Rock responds with the best way he knows how, and that was with another joke. That was the greatest night in the history of television. Jada Pinkett Smith is suffering from an autoimmune disease known as alopecia that causes hair loss. Will Smith has issued an apology to both Chris Rock and the Academy for his behavior and action that night. Smith hopes that the Academy will invite him back to the 95th Oscars next year. Continuing with acting, actor Bruce Willis's family has announced he is retiring from acting. The 67-year-old actor's career began in the 1970s on the off-Broadway stage and has starred in countless TV shows and films. Willis's family announced that Bruce was diagnosed with aphasia, a language disorder that affects a person's ability to communicate. Willis's family is continuing to ask for love and support from other family members, friends, and fans during this challenging time. Next up, a flamingo that has escaped from a Kansas zoo in 2005 has been spotted along the Texas coastline. Flamingo number 492, or Pink Floyd as he's affectionately called, has been spotted in Wisconsin, Louisiana, and Texas in the last 17 years since he escaped. Zoo experts say Pink Floyd is roughly 25 years old and he can possibly live for another 25 years. No plans to recapture the flamingo have been made despite the sightings. Zoo officials say there's no easy way to capture Pink Floyd without disrupting other wildlife. Next, Kelly Clarkson has officially changed her legal name. The original American Idol winner and daytime TV host will still go by Kelly Clarkson officially. Kelly Clarkson is officially Kelly Brianne in the eyes of the law. Clarkson had to change her last name following her divorce with Brandon Blackstock after 7 years of marriage. Clarkson reiterated to People magazine that no matter what her legal name is in the eyes of the law, she will still be recognized as Kelly Clarkson. In an interview, Clarkson said, and I quote, "I just got divorced, so I had to drop my married last name. I just kept my middle name for personal life. I'm still Kelly Clarkson." And lastly, the oldest active National Park Ranger, Betty Reid Soskin, has just retired at the age of 100. Soskin first joined the National Park Service when she turned 84. Soskin turned 100 back in September 2021, and aside from the many accomplishments and celebrations during that time, she had a middle high school in El Sobrante, California, named after herself. The National Park Service said in a statement that they are sad to see Betty retire, but they are incredibly grateful for her 16 years of humble and dedicated service. A huge congratulations is in order for Betty. That does conclude this week's installment of Hot Topics. Some very interesting hot topics to take in this week, but be sure to tune in to the next episode for another installment. All right, before we take our first commercial break, I do want to announce that as we're recording today's show, April 7th, tonight is opening night for the theater department's production of The Drowsy Chaperone. I had Shane Callahan and Eli Gilbert join me last week to talk about the show. If you have yet to watch that impromptu interview video where Shane and Eli explain everything about the show, please go check it out. It's right here on our YouTube page, CUTV Sports 1, along with all the other content we provide. The show runs April 7th through the 10th and will take place on the main stage in Steele Hall. Show times are 7 p.m. April 7th through the 9th and 2 p.m. on April 10th. For tickets, please call the Steele Hall box office at 724-938-5943. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned, you're watching Caton'S Corner on CUTV.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. My first guest joined me on Zoom for our interview. My guest was Ian Brooke. He is the creator of a little tabletop baseball-themed game called On Deck Baseball. It was so fascinating to receive the opportunity to sit down and interview him. So without further ado, here is my Zoom interview with Ian Brooke. Take a look. All right, well, my first guest today is creator of a little baseball-themed game. I'm excited to have him here to explain and talk about it. As everyone, please welcome Ian Brooke. Hi, Ian. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for having me.
So, Ian, before we get into it, do you just want to take a quick moment and briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Ian Brooke, originally from New York. Now I'm in Florida. Created this game, On Deck Baseball, as pretty much a hobby, and it just kind of took off from there.
So this game's called On Deck Baseball. Could you explain and describe what it's all about?
Sure. On Deck Baseball is a tabletop cards and dice game. Kind of gets away from the whole video game type of thing that the modern day is in now. A little bit more classic style of playing from like the 80s and stuff that I kind of grew up with. Like I said, it's a cards and dice tabletop game. It deals with a fictional universe, so it gets away from the typical replay value of these games, something that the user can actually dive into and control their own universe.
So what would you say, what inspired you to create this game?
Well, kind of really started out at the very beginning. I started playing games like Stratomatic, which is probably the most popular of these types of games. And from very early on, when I was a kid, probably 8, 10 years old, I would play with my friends. And we never really stuck with the same teams that kind of came with the game. We always either drafted our own teams from the players, or we even kind of started making our own players. And that's kind of where it all kind of started from. So in that, like, creating a fictional universe has kind of just evolved through time, and eventually became, the on deck baseball kind of roster of players that we have. I don't know that a lot of the players started out early on. I think a lot of the names have changed probably over the course of 30 years, I would imagine. But it still has kind of stayed the same as its own kind of universe, and doesn't really matter what happens in real life. So you're not looking for, like, a Mike Trout and what he did that during the course of the year to affect the card. All the stats and everything are based on the potential of the player on that card.
So what was the process like of turning this game from an idea into an actual game?
So when I first moved down to Florida, it really, like I said, it started out as a hobby. So it kind of started out like tinkering. I thought about like different ways that I could make a game, just something that I could kind of hold my own attention with, and maybe a couple of friends play. And I wanted to kind of deviate from the standard of a lot of the other games are just numbers on a card. And I wanted to be able to connect with the players, especially since it was a fictional universe and it wasn't something that you're going to see players from the MLB in. So you're not going to really know what this player is capable of doing unless you see like something on a card that describes his potential. From there, I built out the universe and then tried to find certain mechanics that would work in a way that you could almost see the results on the card. And also, I hated external charts. If you look, a lot of these games have like 15 external charts you have to read off of to get a result. In on-deck baseball, most of the charts and everything are on the back of the card, so you don't really have that many external results that you have to look to complete a play. I would say probably 98% of the game is actually played off of the cards themselves. But yeah, it started out that way and just kind of evolved through. A buddy of mine and I started a league, and we kind of tinkered it from there. I would say that the final version that actually made it to market is probably the third or fourth version of the game. Every time we started out playing, we kind of made notes, and if we wanted to add something to the game, we kind of added it in, or we fine-tuned something, whether it's double plays or the tagging up mechanic, or even how you build out teams using the budget or anything like that. It all kind of evolved over, several years. I'd say I've probably been working on this particular game for probably close to 10 or 12 years. So it's really just an evolution over a course of time.
Okay. And then did you face any challenges along the way while doing this?
As far as like the development of the game, I would say that the challenges were just trying to fine tune the mechanics to work out to what would represent how the game is played in real life. So without representing the players, you still wanted to retain the actual main functions of baseball. And it was fine tuning the mechanics in that and representing them on the card to be able to have like a nice flow to the gameplay. So that was probably the biggest challenge in the development. Once I took it to market, the biggest challenge from there was convincing people that it's a different thing than having a replay game going into a fictional universe. A lot of the users of the game started out as the classic replay type players. They want to go in, they want to get the MLB teams, they want to stock their teams, and they kind of want to compare their results to what happened during the course of the MLB season. This obviously takes a way different route and is completely fictional. So you're getting results without having to have a comparison to the actual experience of a player in the MLB. And convincing people to do that has probably been the most challenging part. I would say I've converted quite a bit of replay players, I guess if you want to call them that. And they really kind of get connected with the players and make their own universe, and they found that it's actually pretty rewarding being able to do that.
I know I find it incredibly fascinating to get the chance to talk to you, to be a game, I will call it game inventor. But what are your personal thoughts on creating this game? Like, what does it feel to be like a person that has created some type of tabletop game?
I mean, it's great. I mean, like I said, it started out as a hobby, and I actually had to be convinced to bring it to market because I didn't really know if people would like it. And you're putting yourself out there and putting out a product, and it could be taken a certain way, and you may never want to bring something. You get worried about
Right,
something like that.
right.
So being the so-called inventor of the game is kind of it's a term that I had to get used to because it wasn't something that really was supposed to kind of go that route. But once I got into market and the reception to it has been, almost entirely positive, has been something very exciting. I've never expected it. I never expected it to sell like it's been selling. To have people leave, great reviews about it, saying that it's a unique and simple engine that gets the job done, which is something I always wanted to be. I wanted it to be an easy game to play that you could dive right into without a huge learning curve. And, because it is so different from a lot of the other games that are out there,
Mm-hmm.
it took some getting used to for some people to take some chances on it, and they have, and it's been great.
So, what was the process like of bringing this game to the market? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Did you face any challenges along the way with it?
I would say it was mostly trial and error more than anything. I didn't do Kickstarter, which is, what a lot of people suggested to me. But when I looked into it, there is a good portion of people that have done it that didn't enjoy the process. So really, bringing it to market, I just kind of made the stuff. I put it on a website. I did kind of like a dry rollout, and did it to where people could pre-order it. That way I kind of knew how many people were going to be interested based off of, how many people bought the pre-orders. I print everything in the office you see here. So it's not like I get a third party to print me out the cards, although the boxes are professionally printed and the game board is professionally printed. But, bringing it to market was a unique experience that I probably have had way different than anybody else who has brought a game to market. Like I said, it didn't really start out with the intentions of bringing it to market. So I kind of just felt things out. I built my own website for the very first time. So, a lot of this was a very unique learning experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of worked out for me. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better experience.
And so, with this game, would you, if you don't mind, would you like to give a brief synopsis on how this game is played?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of games using dice have what's called a 50-50 system. So you roll the dice and you either get a batter or a pitcher's card. I kind of wanted to deviate from that. What I did was create what's called a confrontation roll, and that will actually give you an idea of whether or not the batter or the pitcher has the advantage. And that's using, of course, the ratings and attributes that are based on the front of the card. Once you roll out the confrontation roll, you get to choose, or you don't get to choose, but it's dictated to whether or not you're going to be using the batter's card who has the advantage or the pitcher's card who gets the advantage. Once you find out which card you're using, all the results are based off of a matrix. So you're using two dice. They're both D10 dice, so they're numbered from 1 to 10. And it's a red and a blue one. You roll those out, and then there's a matrix grid that you go down for like the blue number, the red number, and then you get your result. From there, there's other mechanics depending on what the outcome is. So if you roll a ground out, you're going to roll on a chart one more column and see where the ball went to, whether it went to the shortstop or the second baseman. And all those charts are unique to the player. So every different player in the game is going to have unique outcomes on their card. The out chart where you're finding where that ground ball went is going to be based on a spray chart. So if the guy pulls the ball more than he hits to the opposite field or anything like that, that's all represented in the card and based on that player. And then from there, it's just a couple of rolls. A lot of people like to judge the value of a game on how many rolls you have to do before you get an outcome. And on average, it's about 2 rolls in this game, which is pretty good compared to some of the other ones where you have to look at a lot of external charts to get the roll. But that's kind of like a basic breakdown. It usually takes like the confrontation roll and then the 2 dice to kind of get the outcome.
And besides aspects about baseball, do you personally think anyone can learn anything else from this, or it's just mainly for fun?
It started out as mainly for fun, but I've actually had 2 different teachers actually purchase the game and they use it for after school curriculum. And they've actually helped students kind of learn budgeting because there's a value system that's used for each player in the game. And they could build teams, and they can use budgets to base on how many credits they're going to earn during the season. And they could, refill their roster using those credits, budgeting out certain things. And then also the other teacher I have, he actually uses the grid and percentage system to teach percentages for his after school. Not that it hasn't made it into the core curriculum in a school, which I don't think it ever will, because it is basically a game. Right. But the fact that these teachers are actually using it after school is pretty remarkable, that they're actually able to use it as a teaching tool and actually, give the students some fun while they're learning those things. So I thought that was pretty incredible. And there's also a retirement community in South Florida where I think 6 to 8 residents of that community are actually involved in the league, and actually kind of, it helps strengthen their abilities mind-wise, as far as maintaining the teams and everything like that. So that person reached out to me, and I think he started out the league. He works in the community. He's not actually a resident, and he uses it for that purpose, which is great also.
Okay. And then let's see, what else? So for people that are out there watching, if they wanted to purchase this game, where can they do that?
I'm sure it's available anywhere there's internet, and it's on deckbaseballgame.com. That is the game's main website, and there's several links there. There's links about the game, a little synopsis of how it's played. You can actually take a view at some of the different players, some of the different teams that are involved in the league that's offered within the game. And everything is there available for purchase. There's season 1 and season 2 are now available. So if you play out season 1 and you want to evolve into your season 2, that's available also. Season 3 is in the works. Trying to release a new season twice a year, so you can actually get it faster than the standard games of Stratomatic, who obviously have to wait for the MLB season to be over to release a new game. So it's a little bit faster in that aspect. But yeah, everything's available on that site.
All right, and then since we're all this talk about baseball, and I'm seeing the Yankees cap that you're wearing, do you have a favorite baseball team? Is that the one or someone else?
Yeah, I'm all Yankees. I'm originally from New York, moved down to Florida in around 99. So I, got to experience a lot of that Yankees dynasty in the mid to late 90s, which was great. Okay. But yeah, all Yankees. But I'm also I'm a huge baseball fan in general, so I can appreciate everything from every team. I used to take a trip to Cooperstown once a summer. So I just love the history of the game and everything like that. So, but yeah, I'm rooting for Yankees this year.
I know, being from Pittsburgh, you got to go with the Pirates, even though they lose the majority of the time. But that's okay. At least for me, every Pirates game I've gone to, they've lost. I don't know, maybe just something with that. But well,
they've had a good team in the 90s, and they let some players get away, and it seems like the good ones they just can't hold on to, which is unfortunate for a lot of small market teams. But it's exciting to see teams like that play.
Definitely. And Ian, before we wrap up this interview, do you have any final words you would like to mention?
I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on the show, and wanted to thank everybody out there that gave this small game a chance. It's exciting to see, new purchases coming in every day. It's a little hard to keep up with, but that's the name of the game, and I'm okay with that. But thank you everybody for giving it a chance.
All right, well, Ian, thank you very much. Like Ian said, you can definitely go look at his game on his website, purchase it if you are interested. Definitely sounds like a lot of fun. And I know normally I'm not a huge sports fan, but because I believe Gary and some other people, we have your game down in our station. So whenever we get bored, we pull it out.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he purchased it a couple weeks ago, and he was talking to me about it. So that's exciting.
All right, we will wrap up this interview. Again, thank you for your time and coming on to talk about it. And best of luck to you as time goes on. As I say, everything sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me today.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian, for your time. I appreciate it. Who would have thought that after hosting this show for more than 3 years, I would get the chance to interview a real-life game inventor? It was absolutely amazing. If you are interested in more information, or if you wish to purchase Ian's game on Deck Baseball, please visit his website, www.on-deck undeckbaseballgame.com. Okay, we're going to step aside for another commercial break, and we'll be right back after this. Stay tuned, everybody.
If you are looking for a Christian club that features Bible study and spiritual nourishment, then come find your family with New Life Cal U. Swing by Oasis every Tuesday at 7 p.m. in Natali 321 to explore faith through Bible study, games, and fellowship. Or stop by Converge on Thursdays at 7 p.m. in the Natali Rotunda to make friends and enjoy life through casual hangouts. Everyone is welcome. Connect with New Life Cal U at www.newlifecalu.com/connect.
Welcome back, everybody. Like I said at the top of the show, it's the month of April, which is still unbelievable to even think about that. But April is recognized as Autism Awareness Month, which is a very important and significant month to me personally. Most of the people that do know me, they know that I myself have been diagnosed with a form of autism back when I was either about 7 or 8 years old. I can't remember the actual age. But this type of autism is known as Asperger's syndrome. It's a developmental disorder that affects the ability to effectively socialize and communicate with others. Most people are unaware that I have this type of autism unless I actually tell them about it. When I was first diagnosed with it, it was rather difficult for not only me, but my family as well. A little over a year ago, I sat down and spoke with Stephanie Stern from the Cal U Counseling Center at the time about autism. This interview was very personal and enlightening for me, and I hope it was the same for others as well, especially for those who do not necessarily understand the concept of autism. Ever since receiving this show, this given platform, I find it imperative to bring certain topics I personally find important forward and talk about them on this show. So I wanted to revisit my interview from last year with Stephanie and show it again during Autism Awareness Month. I hope this interview not only enlightens you, just like it enlightened me. So take a look at my interview with Stephanie Stern about autism.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm very pleased to welcome my first guest. Next month, April, is Autism Awareness Month, which is a very important month for me. I know this is my first time formally announcing on this show. For many that know me, they're aware that I do have a form of autism, Asperger's syndrome to be exact. And my first guest is from the Cal U Counseling Center, and she is here to have a discussion with me about autism. Everyone, please welcome Stephanie Stern. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hopefully, first and foremost, you're doing well. And I do want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule today to join me. The reason I contacted you is because I noticed last week you and Dr. John Masella led a discussion to speak about autism, and Dr. Masella is the director of the Office for Students with Disabilities. And unfortunately, he couldn't attend today's show taping, but I'm very grateful and appreciative that you were able to join today. So thank you very much. Autism is such a huge and important topic for me, and I'm pretty sure it is for you and Dr. Masella as well. And it can be difficult to explain autism for people that might not understand it. So first of all, if you just want to, as a basic definition, what is autism?
So I think that's a great question. And the idea of a basic definition, I think, is one that kind of throws me off because I don't necessarily think it's basic, but basically, as I say, basically, it's a broad range, basically, of symptoms that come together, but to get the diagnosis of autism. But it's basically having difficulties with social skills, repetitive behaviors, and then speech or nonverbal communication issues. So that's as simple as I can put it. But of course, because it's a spectrum disorder, the range of individuals that may have the disorder, I mean, is great.
I know for me, I was diagnosed around the age of 7 or 8, I'm not quite too sure, but Asperger's is a developmental disorder that affects the ability to effectively communicate and socialize. And growing up, I know I was very quiet and I kept to myself. and simple tasks were very difficult at times. And so there are different kinds of autism, correct?
Yes, that's also a trick question. So as you have said, that you have a type of autism called Asperger's. And really what has happened with the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual, which is the holy grail Bible that we use to provide diagnosis, they've done away with the nomenclature, if you will, of Asperger's or pervasive developmental disorder, NOS, and basically now give the diagnosis as along a continuum of severity. So there's levels of severity. And actually in the manual that I use, if I was giving a diagnosis, it very specifically says that those individuals who would have had the diagnosis of Asperger's or pervasive developmental disorder, NOS, would now just be given the moniker, I guess, of the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, which I know though, and I mean, you could answer this because I've with individuals that I work with, a lot of individuals that have a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, they want to keep that. And they feel like, changing it, I don't know. I don't know if it somehow illegitimizes your identity. And I don't know, and you know what, maybe you could even speak to that.
Trying to think here. I know that for right now, a lot of people, if I were to tell them, they tell me, oh, you look completely normal. But I know about 10 years ago or so, you could definitely tell that I had something wrong with me. And I know I got bullied for it. Thankfully, I had my twin sister with me to help me through it when we were in elementary school and junior high and all that. But just so many people don't really understand it. And why do you think that so many people might not fully understand the concept of autism?
I think it goes back to that idea that there is a basic definition. I think that most people, if you asked them, they would give you some kind of representation that would be like Rain Man, if you're familiar with, or even younger children that have a lot of tantrums and they're more severe, maybe they would be nonverbal. And I feel like that's the presentation that people put with autism. And I don't think they realize the complexities of, the difficulties that people experience. And so I think that that's why coming to an individual that would have Asperger's disorder, a lot of people see that as someone's being rude or mean, like the social difficulties. And they're not expecting it to be autism because they believe that it would be something you can readily see. And I think that that's, people have a hard time when they're engaging with someone not getting back what they expect. And if they thought that there was some difficulty they think that they can see it. And I think that that's why they have a misrepresentation of what autism is in general, because it varies so much.
And I know you and Dr. Masella had a virtual discussion about it last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because I had another club meeting at the time. But what exactly did you and Dr. Masella talk about in that discussion?
So basically what we wanted to do in that discussion was just give a very brief overview and answer questions that we thought would be very common, like what is autism? Or even more so, what might we experience in the college setting with individuals? Because like I said before, I think a lot of people are under the impression, well, if someone has autism, they wouldn't be in college. Like that there's somehow some limiting factor that they wouldn't be here. And so the goal was basically for students to help students understand some of the difficulties that may exist so that, when an individual, one of the examples I said, in my private practice, I worked with an individual who was college age, transitioning to college. And she actually said she didn't have a lot of people asking if she wanted to go anywhere or do anything. And when we went through it, there were people that asked, did you want to go for coffee after class? She's like, no, I don't like coffee. She didn't see that as an attempt to make a connection. She didn't like coffee and didn't want to go for coffee, but missed kind of that social overture. And basically, those are the kinds of things that we wanted to kind of like highlight. Like, it's not always about, it might be very specifically what you're asking, and help people really understand that sometimes when there's social misconnection, that they could try in a different way. And it's not just for people with autism, it's for social interaction in general.
And I know that growing up for me, I was thinking, would I be able to be on my own? Because of autism, I know some people have more severe cases than me, but I would say for the most part, I'm doing pretty well. And I think it's a little bit ironic that for me, the disorder that I have, and I chose a communications major, which for people with Asperger's, it's hard to communicate and socialize. Like I said, about 10 years ago, I kept to myself. I only got in touch with people that I knew. I didn't go around anybody that I didn't know and all that. But as time went on, I know I had classes and specialists to help me out. And I know I'm definitely proud of where I stand today. And anybody out there else watching. But so I know for right now, we're having a good talk, but we need to take a quick commercial break. I'll have more with Stephanie, or talk more with Stephanie when we return in a moment. Stay tuned. I want to personally thank Stephanie again for taking time out of her schedule at that time to speak with me about autism. Autism is such an undefined topic and probably not spoken enough for those who don't understand autism. So please don't treat anyone with autism differently. I cannot implore that enough. If you would like to read my personal story about living with autism, please log on to the Cal Times website at www.caltimes.org and check it out. You can search my name, Tom Caton, in the search bar when you log on to the website. All right, we will take another commercial break, and when we come back, I'll be joined with some guests for a game. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Caton'S Corner on CUTV.
Emotes say a lot, but they can't say it all. Think your guildmate is struggling? Try these dialogue options. Go beyond emotes. Check in with your guildmates at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's almost time for me to sign off, but before I do, we need to play a quick game. I'm joined by good friends Caitlin and Hannah.
Hi!
Caitlin, it's always great to see you, but Hannah, I know this is your CUTV debut for us, so.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to be laughing the whole time. But anyway, for today's game, I'm introducing a new game. I don't know why, it was the first thing that came to mind, but this game revolves around the idea of phobias, or fears as it's commonly known. There are hundreds of phobias out there. Some are common, while others are outrageous to believe, but believe it or not, they do exist. A phobia is the irrational fear of something that is unlikely to cause harm to someone, but the word phobia itself comes from the Greek word phobos, which means fear or horror. So here's how the game goes. The name of phobia will pop up on the screen, and we'll have Hannah and Caitlin try to guess what that phobia is. Plain and simple, some phobias are easy to figure out, while others may not be so easy to figure out. I think it'll be fun. I guess we'll see if you guys suffer from any of these phobias as well.
I got this.
But all right, let's go ahead and play.
I'm going to win.
All right, first one. And some of these phobias I had to phonetically spell out because they are impossible to see. Like this first one here. Arachabutyrophobia.
Arachabutyrophobia.
Well, see, that sounds like it's starting like spiders. Is it like tarantulas? Is it like more?
Is it
specific than
centipedes?
spiders?
Is it the fear of seeing your
It's definitely
centipede in your bedroom?
Because the Iraq is like the spider, right? Like arachnophobia.
There's arachnophobia.
But this is Iraq.
I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with spiders or insects.
Well, then what's the
A fear of
point then?
tennis.
Fear of what?
Tennis.
Tennis.
Like a racket.
Oh,
Phobia.
Fear of tennis. Okay.
can we have a hint?
It's the fear of some type of food.
Bananas.
Mayonnaise.
Okay, Hannah's in the right direction.
Ketchup?
It's a
Mustard.
not a.
Thousand Island dressing.
Is it like a dip or like a spread? Butter.
Close.
What is
Margarine.
What other kind of butter is out there?
What?
Plant-based?
Peanut butter. It's the fear of peanut butter.
No.
The fear of peanut butter. Or
So, are people who are allergic to peanuts have that?
I guess so. Well, all together, it's the fear of peanut butter. But I looked up the more specific. It's the fear of peanut butter getting stuck to the roof of your mouth.
Oh, that is the worst.
Yeah, that's actually
So I can
logical.
understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand that. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Chronometrophobia.
Numbers. Afraid of numbers.
The
Getting
fear,
older.
The
Getting
fear
older.
of riding the underground
it deals
subway.
With numbers. It deals
The
with
fear
numbers.
of getting older, the fear of old people, the fear of young people.
Oh my
fear-
gosh.
I'm spitting things out.
Numbers. The fear of math, the fear of physics, the fear of science,
Numbers.
the fear of...
Counting.
What are those things called when you count on them?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Is it a rebus?
I can give you a hint, but I know it'd be a very big hint. We use these to tell time.
Clocks.
Watches?
Watches.
The sun.
It's the fear of clocks. Chronometrophobia is the fear
People
of
have
clocks.
that?
Yeah,
The fear of clocks
Fear of
or
clocks.
time? Clocks.
clocks.
Just the clocks.
Which is weird.
themselves.
I was going to say the inevitable
I hope
march
no
of
one
time
suffers.
is scary, but
I hope no one suffers from that phobia because clocks are almost everywhere.
That is true. Except the ones in Morgan Hall don't work, so you're fine. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? You just stare at it, they're not
clocks or
moving.
digital clocks? There's so many questions.
Morgan
Alarm
Hall is not.
clocks.
Can you imagine looking at your phone every
All
time you're being
right.
scared?
We'll move on to the next one. Dendrophobia.
Dandruff. The fear of having a dry scalp.
Not quite.
Of drones. The fear
Oh,
of
that's
The
unmanned.
fear. So this is the fear of something. They can be found anywhere outside,
bugs. Oh, wait. no.
plants. Oh, it's plants.
close to plants.
Because
Trees.
Oh.
There you go. Fear of trees. Dendrophobia, which I hope you don't have because trees help us breathe.
Yeah, wait a
So
second.
you can't be afraid of something that makes us alive, makes us live.
It's
All
just
right,
like the Lorax.
Aw.
in a way. All right, we'll do the next one. This might be easy. Megalophobia. Have you heard of this one before?
It sounds like that video game, Megalovania.
I've never heard of that. What's
the
that
first thing I
big
thought. I feel like I'm
prehistoric like water creature?
The megalodon.
Yeah, is it the fear of the
like the
megalodon?
shark,
Close.
sharks.
Whales. Sea
Dolphins.
creatures. Sea, fear of the deep ocean.
No, that one starts with
No.
a T. That's like
Think of mega. That's like
Big.
the biggest hint.
Big whales.
big things, just big things.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fear of large things, large items.
See, I
is
feel like I could
megaphobia.
have that.
In a way,
Everything's so big. Everything.
right. So
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I like this so far. It's going good.
Yeah, this
Who do you think
fun.
is winning?
Me.
Hey!
Well, I'm giving hints, so
Yeah, Caitlin asked for the first hint. I didn't need a hint.
technically I'm winning right now. But okay, we'll do the next one. Paganophobia.
Pogo sticks.
It may look like that, but no.
I have no clue. I couldn't even
Pagano.
guess. Pogs?
What are pogs?
That's a pog.
You know when you're winning in a game and you're like,
Poggers.
Poggers.
Afraid of
Not
losing a game.
It is the fear of. Do you want to take any other last guess? Should I try to give you a hint?
Square dancing.
Sharp thing.
I mean, there is probably a fear of square dancing out there, but paganophobia, it is the fear of beards.
Beards.
So I hope you don't have any paganophobia.
I can get behind that though, because men are scary.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Some beards.
Some beards are better than others.
You can maintain them pretty well, but if you have like the Amish people with their beards, those are scary.
It's like the
No
long.
offense.
The long
ears.
one.
The very long,
Santa?
unkempt
Yeah.
looking ones.
Ooh.
Yes. That's
Ho,
probably
ho,
a fear of
ho.
Santa.
Is that going to be on there?
The fear of Santa?
Claustrophobic.
That'd probably be the easiest one, but no. This is
Ho,
so
ho,
here's our
ho.
last one. Triskaidekaphobia.
That one's really difficult. Deca is 10,
Triskaidekaphobia.
right?
Fingers.
Toes. Feet.
It almost ties into chronometrophobia. It definitely revolves around numbers. It's the fear of a number, but
Century.
can
Big
you
numbers.
try to guess what number? It's the fear of a
Decades.
actual number.
9.
10.
The fear of 9.
Close.
8.
11. 1.
11,
7.
11, 12.
13! Is it 13?
Is it really?
It's the fear of the number 13.
So you can't tell me I didn't win.
Well, because if you ever notice, like you go to a hotel or any kind
Oh,
of
no one wants to stay in.
Sky-
Like,
skyscraper,
Unlucky.
there's no floor number 13 in any of
like
them.
it is like 14 though, right? Like if there's a 14th floor, it's
you'll
technically
see buttons 12 and 14. There's no.
Yeah,
Technically, there's 13 floors, but,
Right.
they'll
but they
count
just
as
don't
14.
call it
They won't
like.
count it.
Interesting.
Interesting phobias. I hope no one fears.
I
from that.
liked these. These were fun.
It was fun.
Do you have any specific phobias you're afraid of?
I'm afraid of the inevitable death of my parents.
Yo, that was dark.
Okay.
We don't get that dark
Well,
on the show, but okay.
I'm afraid of bugs and the dark and dying. I mean, let's be real. Who's not
I'm
afraid
afraid
of
of
dying?
graduating in 30 days.
I'm afraid of people who aren't afraid of dying because it's like
That's Tom. He said he's not afraid of dying.
Gen Z, we
I'm
joke about
scared.
dying all the time, though.
a joke, but when it comes down to it,
We joke about it, but when it comes time, no, we're not ready. But I would say probably the biggest fear, I know we talked about it, I hate spiders.
I hate
That
spiders,
is my biggest fear. Like, the little
Even
spiders,
the friendly
okay.
ones?
The
The friendly ones? The daddy
those
long
are
legs?
not for
Those are not
friends.
friendly.
They're supposed to they eat other bugs. They're supposed to
No.
be nice.
I always heard the daddy long legs were, like, poisonous, but I know they're not. I don't know, that was
Not.
like a rumor or something.
A rumor spread by who?
By the
Other
daddy long
spiders?
legs. Spread by the other.
The bugs that the
Spider
daddy
started
long
the
legs
rumor.
eat.
Yeah. Like spider
The
propaganda.
spider started the rumor, other spiders. The Black Widow started that rumor about the daddy long leg. But all right, that's how you play Name That Phobia. I hope those of you who are watching don't suffer from any of those phobias. And if you do, I'm terribly sorry. But other than that, I see we are out of time. I would like to thank all my guests from today's show, Ian Brooke, Caitlin, and Hannah. I would like to thank all of you for watching as well. And a big thank you is in order for those working in the control room too. Don't forget, you can stay up to date and follow the Media Suite, CUTV, WCAL, and the Cal Times on all of its social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, CUTV Sports 1, for my show and all other content we bring to you as the semester winds down here. I'll be back with another new episode in 2 weeks, so make sure you mark your calendars for that. But that's all for today, so until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye, everybody.